Okay, this is going to be the last one for tonight, and it may be the last one until after Christmas. Oh my gosh. Not that I am celebrating, but I do have grandchildren, and I do have a busy, busy week ahead. So I've jumped forward to the New World Order. So here it is in writing for those who are of no religious persuasion. I remind you again that the New World Order is of a very serious, dark spiritual persuasion. When we come to consider religion in the New World Order, we are faced with a far more complicated problem. Yet at the same time, it's a far easier one. The reason for this is that the subject of a religion is one which is studied and understood by the majority of men. On theological interpretations, there's a wide difference. On a widespread recognition of a universal divine intelligence or of God, by whatever name the all-embracing life may be called, there is general similarity of reactions. Forms of religion are so different, and the theological adherents are so fierce in loyalties and partisanships, that the emergence of a world religion is necessarily of profound difficulty. But that emergence is very close at hand, and the differences are relatively superficial. The New World religion is nearer than many think, and this is due to two things. First, theological quarrels. Side note that they cause are mainly over non-essentials, and secondly, younger generation is basically spiritual but uninterested in theology, probably by design. The intelligent youth of all countries are rapidly repudiating orthodox theology, state ecclesiasticism, and the control of the church. You know, I am disgruntled with theology. This is my own personal opinion. I think church and doctrine has just done nothing for this world. I mean, it's a mess. And so that's why when I look back over 2,000 years and I ask myself, if we have so many that believe in Jesus Christ and the church is so huge all over the world, what happened? Well, in my opinion, what happened is they sold their soul, wanting the goodies from the state. They married in commerce to get their tax credits, etc., to establish their schools. They became involved in politics. And that is against the teachings, the way that Jesus taught. It is against it. We were to stay separate. We were to choose who we serve. We either serve God the Father or we serve the lords and gods of this earth. That's why he said that by default we made a choice with our will, because we did not understand the scriptures. And I believe that it's because they deliberately made the scriptures hard to understand. And people will base their choices off of teachings they've heard or off of teachings they read. If they don't understand something, they go buy a book and then they take the author's word for it because he was highly recommended, instead of getting in there themselves, asking the hard questions, going into a good concordance, and then digging past even that, getting into the root word, into the etymology, and what do the Bible scholar notes say, and arriving at the answer for themselves and trusting that the Holy Spirit will guide you on this journey. But now we're in a situation where we have to be sure that especially for family and friends who are clueless to anything that's going on, that we don't allow this to happen again. Okay. They are neither interested in man-made interpretations of truth nor in past quarrels between world religions. Profoundly interested in spiritual values and earnestly seeking verification of deep-seated, unvoiced spiritual recognition. Yes, people are spiritually hungry. They look to no Bible or system of so-called inspired spiritual knowledge and revelation, but their eyes are on the undefined larger holes in which they seek to merge and lose themselves, such as the state or an ideology or humanity itself. They see it too. That's how come they're ready to make the grab. They positioned themselves since, 1934? Maybe even sooner that I don't know of, but I know 1934. In this expression of spirit of self-abnegation may be seen the appearance of the deepest truth of all religion and justification of the Christian message. Christ in his high place cares not whether men accept theological interpretations of scholars or churchmen, but does care whether the keynote of his life of sacrifice and service is reproduced. It is immaterial to him whether the emphasis is laid upon detail and veracity of the gospel story, or is recognized and accepted, for he is more interested that the search for truth and for subjective spiritual experience should persist. He knows that within each human's heart is found that which responds instinctively to God, and that hope of ultimate glory lies hidden the Christ consciousness. There is truth in this statement. It's basically what I said about people leaving one door and going out the other. They're thirsty, they're hungry. Therefore, the New World Order spirituality will supersede theology, and it will if we let it. Jesus said if we have faith as small as a mustard seed, and we tell the mountain to move, it must move. Living experience will take the place of theological acceptances. The spiritual realities will emerge with increasing clarity, and the form aspect will recede into the background. Dynamic, expressive truth will be keynote of the New World religion. The living Christ will assume his rightful place in human consciousness and see the fruition of his plans. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, this really bothers me, sacrifice and service. But the hold of the ecclesiastical orders will weaken and disappear. Only those will remain as guides and leaders of the human spirit who speak from living experience and who knows no creedal barriers. They will recognize the onward march of revelation and the new emerging truth. So there you have it. They're already preparing the world leaders for this. Leave behind the ecclesiastical orders. Merge. These truths will be founded on the ancient realities, but will be adapted to modern need and will manifest progressively as the revelation of divine nature and quality. God is now known as intelligence and love. That the past has given us, he must be known as will and purpose, and the future will reveal. When the spirit of true religion is unobstructed by ancient forms and interpretations, then we shall see a world in process of right experience, right human relations, and spiritual moving forward to reality. Talk about no trust, or trust in the wrong God. It's definitely not the message of Jesus. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will open. All the answers are there for you. If you seek your Father, which is in heaven, in your closet, for God speaks with his still and quiet voice. The hierarchy is a great fighting body today. Oh yes, fighting for the souls of men. That's what I said. They want our souls too. Fighting all that blocks the expansion of human consciousness. Fighting all that limits human freedom. Really? No. That's a red herring. You're not fighting all that limits human freedom. You're trying to put the lock and chain on us to abolish all freedom. Oh, notice she puts in parentheses. And fighting to remove those factors and barriers which militate against the return of Christ and the emergence of the hierarchy as fully functioning body on earth. There is nothing weak, vacillating, sentimental, or neutral in the attitude of the hierarchy. This must be grasped by humanity, and the strength and insight as well as the love of the hierarchy must be counted upon. I wonder when the hierarchy is going to introduce themselves. Certain of the objectives facing the hierarchy at this time have a potent and beneficent, should have said maleficent, effect upon humanity. Let me enumerate them in concise form. Okay, the reorganization of the world religions, reasons to make way for a universal religion, return humanity to the simplicity of Christ, and to rid the world of theology and ecclesiasticism. Gradual dissolution of Orthodox Judaism because of its presentation of a wrathful Jehovah caring only for his chosen people. This is a basic evil. The Lord of the world, the God in whom we live and move and have our being, is totally otherwise. Because of its separativeness, because it is so ancient that its teachings are largely obsolete. Now they know better than that. The Old Testament is the Torah. It is the teachings of the Kabbalah. I mean, even Michio Kaku stated on one of the TV shows that they have learned, or not they, scientists have learned so much in the area of quantum physics because of the Old Testament, because it is written in code form. It's far beyond our understanding. Preparation for a new revelation. Because there is no vision, the people perish. Well, that's true. Because human expectancy indicates its emerging presence. Really? Okay, yes, I guess that's, yeah, the people are tired, yes, okay. Because the invocation will inevitably bring it to us. Okay, so, evoking and invoking and using your sigils and symbols. The reaction of a hierarchy produces a direct channel, so you guys can become mediums. Conditions the inflow of power energy, relates the will to goodwill, creates new constructive tensions and new ashrams. Great. A closer relationship to the hierarchy. It produces externalization of certain ashrams, leads to the reappearance of the hierarchy on earth. Recognizes that man's point of development warrants this, presents nearing opportunity of revelation. An effort to avert war, because the next war would annihilate the greater part of the human race. There you go. That's when it will come in, when they threaten us with the Third World War, probably. Having a religious basis, the hate involved would be greater far than any hitherto known. Yep. And Shambhala would be involved, and this has never been the case. In case you guys are wondering what Shambhala is, since they speak of it so much, in all fairness, let's go to here. Let's do this, and let's take a look at Shambhala, so you all will have a good Tibetan In Tibetan Buddhist and Hindu traditions, Shambhala is a mythical kingdom hidden somewhere in Inner Asia. It is mentioned in various ancient texts, including, let's go here so we can get more of it. Shambhala gradually came to be seen as a Buddhist Pure Land, fabulous kingdom whose reality is visionary or spiritual as much as physical and geographic. It was in this form that the Shambhala myth reached the Western Europe and Americas, where it influenced non-Buddhist and Buddhist spiritual seekers, to some extent popular culture in general. I'm going to, I think, skip through here real quick. Humanity itself must apply the necessary correctives, believing it can do in the strength of its own sensed wisdom and strength, yet all the time behind the scenes stand the group of world aspirants, working silently in unison with each other in the hierarchy, and thus keeping the channel open through which the needed wisdom and strength and love can flow. The great task, the forces of light and spirit of peace embodied, lies a tremendous group potency, planetary hierarchy, the Buddha, the Christ, the new group of world servers, humanity. Okay, this is where I wanted to get to. Let me now present you with another vital consideration. Looking back over your individual lives, you will be conscious that it was the points of crisis and the cycles of tension which constituted for you the major opportunities and moments of moving forward. Of these opportunities, you either profited or by neglecting them, you temporarily failed. This same critical factor acts also in the world of men in groups and masses. Today, the point of tension for humanity in such a situation can be noted. The hierarchies stand also at a point of extreme scientific tension. Scientific because it's induced and directed. Picture these two groups as facing each other. The hierarchy is aware of the need of the purpose of the dual tension and desirous of bringing this tension to such a crisis of precipitation that the fusion of the two groups will be inevitable. If you don't understand that sentence, let me tell you. They are saying that without crisis, we don't grow. And in some respects, that's true. Life experience does. But in other respects, if a child was born into nothing but an already, how do I want to put this? So as not to offend, let's just say spiritually evolved family and culture and world, where only the love of family, the love of the child, and teachings were readily available, and never knew hate, never witnessed hate, never had any pain, suffering, war, hunger, they wouldn't know it. And that's been proven when they found this tribe in the rainforest. It's been cut off from humanity, basically, society, whatever you want to say. And they followed this. It's an older video. They followed this tribe without interfering with them for some time. And they said that they worked together as one unit, that everyone cared for the children, and that there was no tension, no hatred, no fighting, no problems. Because, contrary to what some people would say, a baby is a blank slate, and it only knows what it takes in through the senses of the body. Humanity is in the pickle it's in because those who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth have zero real life experience, and they think that what they're doing to us is a good thing. They think that they're helping our souls to grow. If they wouldn't have hid all of the rest of the Gospels and the rest of the books of the Bible and hid everything and gave us the true history of our world, if all of this was just freely given to anyone and everyone who wanted it to read, and then we supported each other and taught each other, and talked about it and pondered over it, we wouldn't be in this mess. So basically what we have is we have people who created the mess now trying to say that they've got the solution for the mess. Order out of chaos. I mean, it's just business as usual. Whilst the other group, humanity, unaware generally of the implications of the situation, is suffering bewilderment, full of fear, between these two groups stands the new group of world servers, constituted today of two bodies of people. So there's those that are aware of the plan. Now you're aware of the plan. Are subject to sensitive to hierarchical impressions and dedicated to the task of bringing about desired fusion or group of one-men. These are consecrated. They're consecrated servers of the world who are free from all taint of separateness, full of love to all men, eager to spread the understanding goodwill. They correspond to the consecrated loving heart. Well, I will tell you something. Hang on. A small minority who have emerged out of the new group of world servers, who can function in group formation if they choose, and bring about the fusion for which the new group of world servers is working, and for which the point of tension in humanity and in the hierarchy predisposes and has prepared the hearts of men. Their opportunity and responsibility is great because they know the plan. They are in touch with the guiding teachers on the inner side, yet they are sensitive to the higher impression. They correspond to the points of illumination, and so the illumined mind referred to above. Here, the picture of esoteric interrelations. Here you can note the position which you could hold, for these groups have a definite opportunity to bring about this world fusion, to precipitate the crisis of love to which I have referred. The great approach upon the side of humanity is now going on, with tension induced momentarily, deliberately inducing it, because they have got their people in place to do a world fusion. It reminds me of New Orleans whenever I saw those poor people saying, please help us, and they just ignored them. Because I swear the people that are at the top, well, they've sold their soul to the devil, to Lucifer. So I think this may be it for the night. Oh, predictions. The birth initiation will condition human thinking during the Aquarian age here. The religion of the risen Christ and not of the newly born Christ or the crucified Christ will be the distinctive note. Oh, you catch that? This is the new religion of the risen Christ. I mean, this is just so nefarious. It's ridiculous because they're setting us up. It irritates me to know, and it's probably the only thing that gets me indignant, is when I find out that someone is imposing their will or being deceitful like a Trojan horse. I mean, that really gets to me. Behind closed doors of that mysterious and magnificent country in Russia, a great and spiritual conflict is proceeding, and the rare mystical spirit and the truly religious orientation of the people is the eternal guarantee that a true living religion and culture will finally emerge out of Russia. This must have been older. I don't know. Because this right here, I'm talking about this Ibid. I'd have to find out when it was, published. Because the papers I'm reading are brand new. The symbol of the world, Arjuna, in a very special sense, will emerge, that new and magical religion about which I have so often said. It will be a product of the great and imminent approach which will take place between humanity and the hierarchy. Maybe we should keep our eyes on Russia. From these two centers of spiritual force in which the light, whichever shineth in from the east, will irradiate the west. The whole world will be flooded with the radiance of the sun of righteousness. I'm not here referring, in connection to Russia, to the imposition of any political ideology, but to the appearance of the great spiritual religion which will justify the crucifixion of a great nation. Which will demonstrate itself and be focused in a great spiritual light, which will be held aloft by a vital Russian exponent of true religion, that man for whom many Russians have been looking, and who will be the justification of a most ancient prophecy. Italy, the whole field of a religion will be inspired and reoriented from Rome, because the Master Jesus will again take hold of the Christian Church in an effort to re-spiritualize it and reorganize it from the chair of the Pope of Rome. The Master Jesus will attempt to swing that great branch of religious beliefs of the world again into a position of spiritual power and away from its present authoritative and temporary political potency. Master Jesus will take a physical vehicle and was certain of his chiefest effect and re-spiritualization of the Catholic Church, breaking down the barrier separating Episcopal and Greek churches from the Roman. This may be looked for, should plans progress as hoped for, around the year 1980. Well, I think she screwed up there. It might be said that the hierarchy, in conjunction with the great council of the will of God at Shambhala, will divide their work into three parts. They deal with the problem of spiritual freedom as it embodies itself in the four freedoms, with the problem of the right of human relations. Express itself through international relations, national parties, and general human affairs. It's not for me to tell you what humanity, through its statesmen and leaders, will plan to do at the coming conferences. It is my task to mobilize the new group of world servers and men and women of goodwill, so that they may stand as a great army of implacable spiritual will behind the participants in these conferences and councils, and enabling them to think with clarity about the issues involved. And thus, through clear thinking, affect telepathically the minds of men. This involves the use of a power seldom employed as of yet on the side of righteous endeavor, though already widely used by the materialistic leaders of the forces of evil. It was worth reading this whole thing just to get to that. And anyway, I think I'm going to end this here, and I thank you very much for bearing with me through something that is otherwise boring, but I think is otherwise very important. So, good night, and God bless, and I wish you all abundance. Until next time, thank you for listening to me.